the major portions of the platform Donald ran on in the 2024 presidential election was that he was going to create jobs while lowering costs and inflation for the American people. He's not doing any of that, of course. In reality, what he's doing is using the presidency as a get rich quick scheme. Almost everything this man does is meant to enrich himself, his immediate family, and the elites in his administration further because they're already all of them obscenely wealthy. This week, it was reported in the Wall Street Journal that Donald and his adult children made up to $6 billion off the open market debut of their crypto token, WLFI. Before going to market, people bought the tokens from Donald's venture, World Liberty Financial, and were not able to exchange them. This marks the family's biggest personal profit since Donald's return to office, but it's certainly not the first time he's profited off the presidency. NBN News has more details on this transaction.
The token opened at 0.26 and at one point surged more than 70%, but heavy selling quickly drove it below its opening price. President Trump's three sons were listed as co-founders, and President Trump was introduced as an honorary co-founder. The structure also gives the Trump family about 25% of the total token supply, along with proceeds from token sales.
An article in the Wall Street Journal further reads, quote, WLFI is likely now Donald's most valuable asset, exceeding their decades-old property portfolio. Donald helped launch World Liberty a year ago while campaigning, saying it would help America great again, this time with crypto. World Liberty's rise this year came as Donald drove the growth of the crypto industry from the White House, reining in regulation and touting the potential of private digital currencies to invigorate the U.S. economy, unquote, which is simply code for invigorating his own bank accounts. Now, obviously, experts are concerned that this business venture poses conflicts of interest. I don't know why they're concerned that it's posing conflicts, because the conflicts are obvious and already existing. For instance, the Wall Street Journal article continues to lay out that, quote, critics of World Liberty say that it is a potential vehicle to influence the Trump family and that its growth is spurred by partnerships and investors who are seeking help from the White House. For instance, the market for a dollar-pegged stablecoin issued by World Liberty called USD1 has been largely propped up by Binance, whose convicted founder has been seeking a presidential pardon, unquote. This is blatant corruption of the highest order and a violation of the emoluments clauses. Do we even know what those are anymore? Does anybody even care that in the Constitution, it states clearly that presidents are not allowed to accept gifts beyond a certain amount unless they get the approval of Congress, and they are not allowed to profit off the power of the presidency because this renders them susceptible to outside influence and potentially blackmail. Of course, the corruption is not limited to Donald and his adult children. This administration has plenty of rampant corruption to go around, in part because Donald is so corrupt, he is more than happy to allow those around him to be corrupt. Talking Points memo reports that a Wall Street firm connected to Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick is positioning itself to profit off of Donald's tariffs. How, you ask? The scheme is described in the Talking Points memo article, reading, quote, a Wall Street firm goes to an importer and says, you've now paid $10 million in tariffs. I'll pay you $2 million right now for the right to collect the refund if courts ever end up deciding the tariffs were illegal. One of the most aggressive buyers was Cantor Fitzgerald, the firm until recently headed by Howard Lutnick and now run by Lutnick's sons. In mid-July, according to Wired, Cantor was buying up the rights to your potential tariff refund at between 20 and 30 cents per dollar. Needless to say, I bet that price has gone up a lot since last Friday's federal appellate court upheld the lower court ruling that almost all of Donald's tariffs are illegal. So in paper terms, Cantor has probably already made a ton of money on this, unquote. That is not how any of this is supposed to work at all. Donald's tariffs were supposed to make the American economy successful again, right? They were supposed to bring in billions and billions of dollars to help offset costs for the American taxpayer. Instead, his insiders, his enablers, his sycophants are using the fact that United States courts are ruling the tariffs illegal as a way to make money off of tariffs that have, quite frankly, weakened the American economy. This is the equivalent of insider trading. It's just complicated and it's hard to wrap your head around. Being the grifting multitasker he is, Donald and the Trump regime's profiteering methods aren't limited to crypto and tariffs. Last month, journalist David Kirkpatrick published a piece in The New Yorker tallying the ways Donald has profited off his second term. He laid out some of his findings in an appearance on MSNBC's The Weekend Primetime. Take a look.
How much exactly is Donald Trump and his family benefiting from him being president a second time?
Well, the number I came up with was $3.4 billion.
That's with a B.
That with a B. And some of that stretches back to before he re-entered the White House. Some of that was payments from Saudi Arabia investing in this fund with Jared Kushner. But almost all of it, the lion's share of it, is in just the last 6 months since he re-entered the White House. And what I did was to go through various businesses and income streams and ask myself, is this money from the presidency? You know, would he have made this money if he was just a reality TV show host or a real estate guy? And then I did my best to try to figure out what that was worth, really conservatively in every case. And I really tried to show my work. So readers can go through and see for themselves. If they think I'm undervaluing the amount of money that Jared Kushner made off the Saudis, they can make that decision for themselves. Or maybe they think I'm overvaluing it. But no matter how you slice it, it's a lot of money, right? Even if you knock out the 300 or so that 300 million or so that I calculate Jared Kushner's income stream from that Saudi investment or the other investments through his private equity firm are worth right now, well, that's still over $3 billion.
Must be nice. Kirkpatrick's article highlights the many ways Donald has likely already traded policy favors for personal profit, which is to say, taken bribes. Kirkpatrick writes, quote, "The family's thirst for cash makes questions about conflicts of interest all the more pressing. Did Donald strike tacit deals with Justin Sun or CZ or with the media companies that paid him big settlements or with Gulf monarchs? Will Qatar's airplane gift protect it from another blockade? Did the UAE's $2 billion stablecoin purchase give it access to sensitive American technology? Did payments from the Arab monarchs incline Donald toward airstrikes against Iran? Quid pro quos are exceedingly difficult to prove. But Fred Wertheimer, a government ethics reformer, said of Donald, quote, "The way he pursues every possible avenue he can think of for money gives people who provide that money a clear sense that they are going to get something in return. Almost anyone who sees what's going on has to assume that this money is buying the president's favor," unquote. One of the most troubling things about all of this is how out in the open it is. It's almost as if Donald is daring us to challenge him, or that he is leading people to believe that if there were something wrong here, he'd be trying to hide it, wouldn't he? Well, in some cases, that's true. See the Epstein files and the facts that he's mentioned in them several times. But in this case, it's about normalizing corruption to a degree that has never been the case in American history. Now, Kirkpatrick lists many of the ways in which Donald may be returning favors in exchange for massive amounts of money. The fact that that list exists is a travesty. The fact that we do not know and cannot say with any certainty that Donald Trump and the American presidency aren't for sale is a tragedy. Please take a second and like and share this video. It'd be awesome if you could subscribe to the channel. If you're listening to us in podcast form, please follow us and give the show a 5-star rating because it really does help other people find our content. Thanks.